August camp is underway in Iowa City. We will break down position by position the Hawkeyes through the month of August right here on the Voice of College Football. Appreciate you stopping by, of course, for another edition of Iowa Hawkeyes Live. It's number 207 with myself and behind the screen, Corey Bratta from the Hawkeye of the Storm coming back home. I understand, Corey. How you doing?
I am home now. I'm just I gotta make sure I get my my studio all set up here. Not that it wasn't set up already, but I'm doing good. We got media day Friday, and we got the open, as I'll say, kids day practice, because I know you always like me saying kids day. So yeah, it's cooled down a little bit here in the state of Iowa, and it's gonna be pretty warm here this weekend, but we expected. We've heard some good things coming out of fall camp so far, and some interesting things. But it's been a good week one, I guess, of fall camp by all accounts.
Well, you cut out there for a second. So media day and kids day are not the same day, or are they?
Media day is Friday. Kids day is the day after.
Okay, a 2-day event. Very nice. I just don't know anybody else that has kids day, and I'm not saying that there shouldn't be a kids day. I think it's a great thing.
That's because nobody else cares about the kids like Iowa does.
Nobody else cares about the kids. Yes,
that's
and
right.
I think maybe they do care about the kids. I think it's just called something different. It's like Fan Appreciation Day or something. But I just found I found it amusing, the kids day, and then I get it mixed up with the media day, and there's no spring game, whatever that's called. It's called the final practice or whatever they call that.
Yeah, that's an open spring practice is all that is, Mark.
Okay.
We don't care about we don't care about the kids in the spring.
Well, folks, you can leave those comments and questions there, of course, in the chat, and you get extra time with Corey and myself, of course, with the Big Ten Live show after we wrap up here, 6 Eastern over on the main channel there. And we're going to break down some positions today, offensive line and tight end. Also, Corey, the coaches poll came out on Monday, so that's the preseason rankings with Iowa.
Snubbed.
8th in the Big Ten. And I'm looking at Phil Steele has Iowa 9th in the Big Ten, and my leadoff question was going to be, I'm not seeing a lot of respect for this Iowa edition this year in 2025 across the board.
Why is that?
Some uncertainty at quarterback.
What?
Some uncertainty at quarterback.
Uncertainty at quarterback? Okay.
Some uncertainty. Should I repeat that again? He's only played FCS football.
Listen. I heard you the first time, I heard you the second time, and I heard you the third time. Go ahead.
It's been arguably
I'm about to come on camera and really.
Okay, it's been arguably the worst quarterback situation in the Big Ten over the last 5 or 6 years. Okay. And we have a quarterback who is highly thought of, achieved just about everything that he can at the other level, but it's still an FCS quarterback who's coming off an injury. And he's throwing to an unproven, he's throwing, what? He's coming off an injury. He didn't even participate in spring practice with a new set of receivers. And Jacob Gill is the most accomplished receiver, and that's not anything too exemplary. So I'm just starting, and they lost one of the best running backs in the country. You have even said maybe the defense could take a step back from what was an underachieving season.
I've never said that. When did I ever say that? When have I said
they had an underachieving season last year?
Yes. So when did I say they were going to take a step back from the underachieving this year? I never said
know that they were loaded last year going into last season.
That's what we thought heading into last season.
Well, they were.
That.
Look at.
I don't know that to. I don't know that to be the case. Jay Higgins.
Production?
Did you see where they got drafted? These guys didn't get drafted. These guys were very poorly regarded by. Hold on. Very poorly regarded by scouts. Jay Higgins, Nick Jackson, Sebastian Castro, all those guys were well below what we thought they could have been heading into the season. So, I mean, we could say that they underperformed and that hurt their stock, or maybe they just weren't as good as we thought they were. I don't know what the case is, but I'm just saying that was an anomaly, that you have a team that's loaded and a lot of these guys end up not really being highly regarded on draft boards. That was odd.
It's a fair point. It's a fair point. Let me rephrase it. Highly productive college football players coming into
highly
season.
Productive. And so that's where I go back to schematics and like the whole, for one thing, I think we look at linebackers, we think, oh, these guys rack up a ton of tackles. Nick Jackson was a tackling machine. Jay Higgins, tackling machine. How much of that was the Iowa scheme and the fact that the defensive line maybe didn't contain the tailback as good as they should have, and so that forced the linebackers to make plays on ball carriers more often. I mean, you could use that. I'm not saying that they're bad players by any means. I do wonder if maybe we over-regarded some of these guys, and I'm not questioning the leadership of any of them, like Nick Jackson, Jay Higgins. I believe they're amazing people, really good college football players, but I'm just saying maybe not as quite as good as we thought they were, because, hey, look at previous guys at those positions. Jack Campbell, Josie Jewell, those are guys that were really, really productive and then ended up being drafted, and they had a lot of success in the NFL. Now, maybe Jay Higgins will prove all the doubters wrong, and maybe he'll ball out for Baltimore, and we'll be going back, scratching our heads saying, why weren't they better? Why wasn't that 2024 defense better? I think they're going to be better this year than they were last year. So just to clear that up, I think the defense will be better this year than it was last year. I do. And I don't know that I've never
even with the issues at cornerback or the uncertainty. I shouldn't call them issues.
Yeah. I mean, they had issues last year at cornerback. What they lost is Jamari Harris. They lost a solid piece. They didn't lose Cooper DeJean. They had lost Cooper DeJean the previous year. They didn't lose Cooper DeJean this year. They didn't lose Riley Moss. They lost a solid guy in Jamari Harris, who, by the way, was another example of somebody who I thought would get picked in the draft fairly high, was not. So there's another example. So his predecessors were, Phil Parker guy. So, and they lose Quinn Schulte at safety. But I do believe that somebody will emerge there. I think chances are somebody will emerge to be a steady Eddie, at least to the minimum of what Jamari Harris was last year. And then everything after that is house money, because they weren't good. They didn't have a person. They didn't have anybody after Jamari last year. So you see my line of reasoning there. They weren't good at corner last year. As long as they can get somebody to emerge from the group that's steady Eddie, they'll be as good there. I think they're going to be much better along the defensive line, which is going to help the linebackers. I think you're going to be able to break even at linebacker, even though you're losing a couple of really experienced guys, because I think the defensive line will be that much better. I think they'll be better at safety as well. I think the combination of Entringer and Wampa. By the way, this is going to excite some fans. I've heard some good things about Wampa here this first week of fall camp. Looks like he's having the best camp so far of his career. So that's music to the ears of Hawkeye fans who have been waiting for him to emerge.
So this little debate started with me running down Iowa's ranking, which is number 33. Now, most people frame it as others receiving votes, but those others receiving votes are ranked. So anyway, I won't go on my tirade about that. They're ranked number 33 in the country with 49 points. This is from the coaches poll. The AP is released next Monday. That's 8th in the Big Ten. And so then you were basically questioning, okay, what is the reasoning behind this? Now, I will say this. This is a faulty approach by a lot of these AP writers. And I know the coaches poll is filled out by some coaches, and some coaches just basically say, rank our rival here and rank our first opponent there and make sure they're not ranked, even though everybody else is going to rank them. They kind of have their 3 or 4 things. That's at least what's been told to me through the years, the way most of these coaches approach it. Then the rest, they're like, SID, take it, fill it out, do whatever you want. That, to me, the preseason poll should be simply that particular person determining these are the 25 best teams in the country. I'm not looking at a schedule. I just believe these are the 25 best teams in the country, 1 through 25. But I know I've talked to these AP writers and they say, well, man, I looked at Iowa's schedule and they got a tougher schedule this year.
Please stop. I don't even want to. The stupidity in what you're saying is so obscene that I don't even want to hear it. It's so ridiculous. I don't even want to hear it. I mean, it's literally like, does it ever bother you when people just like they blatantly defy the use of logic, like inherent common sense? It's absolutely maddening sometimes. Like the idea that you would evaluate a team and how good of a team is, the 25 best teams, in any way based upon last year, the schedule this year. Like, who on earth cares? I mean, again, I guess we have to use, I guess a simple way to explain this would be if you had a program like a Notre Dame, since they're independent, to be a good example, that they scheduled in 2025, Alabama, Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan, Florida, Georgia,
Sure.
Like go down the list of the best teams in Texas, the best teams in the country, and they went 4-8. They might be one of the 15 best teams in the country on that schedule. But the dummies that are, I'm not saying anybody specific, but the dummies that would use that logic, 4-8 team. It's like, you literally don't understand common sense. I mean, I and I'd like to be able to help someone, but they don't want to help themselves. It's like checking into. It's like checking it. No, I'm serious. It's like getting physical help for an illness. If you're not willing to go to the doctor and get assistance, you can't be assisted. You just can't. A sick person needs a physician. You need to be able to be. So I'm serious. It's ridiculous. And I'm not making light of it because these are people who are supposed to be professional and serious about their jobs. If we want to give that duty to someone else, delegate it to someone else in college football. Or if you just want to get rid of polls, I'm fine with that too. Preseason polls are dumb. Every year we talk about it in August. They're totally dumb. They mean nothing. They're dumb. They're actually detrimental to the rest of the season. They're detrimental to the other polls that come out after weeks 1, 2, etc. They're even, you could argue they're even detrimental to the final polls. They do nothing but create controversy and talk. And I'm fine with talk, but when it takes away from the sport itself, which I believe in some ways preseason polls do, I have a problem with them. And if they took them seriously, that'd be a different thing. But then when I hear stuff like what you just said, it's just sports, so it's not, you don't lose sleep over it. But it is really annoying.
Yeah, Notre Dame is ranked number 5 in the country in the preseason, but if they had the schedule that you just gave them, they would if they had the exact same team, they would not be ranked number 5 in the country in the preseason poll because half of those guys at least would be going, they're never going to get through that schedule. It's like you're projecting and predicting what the final record's going to be instead of looking at the personnel and the coaching staff and saying, these are the 25 best teams, in my opinion.
Isn't it sort of like the people that every week say, well, if, they get mad because you put Florida above A&M. And it's like, well, if Florida played A&M, what do you think would happen? Well, we don't know what would happen because it hasn't happened yet. All we have to look at and all we should look at is a resume. If we're going to do preseason polls, then look at roster rankings, recruiting, returning production. All of that's fine. Coaching, that's all great. If you're gonna do that preseason, that needs to be thrown out. In fact, here's what I would do. I would delegate some people who are very good at what they do preseason, like I don't know, let's see, Steve Dace or maybe a Phil Steele. I would use one of those guys and I'd let them do a preseason poll. You could probably do it too, but you're very busy, all your minions. You do that, and then during the season, you give it to someone else, okay? And their job is to just start comparing resumes. We don't care what the talent rankings say. We just compare resumes. And I'm fine with you doing that because you do it already with the top 25. That actually makes sense. Top 25 TAMS. So with all that being said, okay, With all that being said, I would be an advocate for just getting rid of rankings until the last month of the season, because I don't understand. We really don't need rankings at all. I don't really know why we need them other than for conversation. We don't even need them until the final weekend. We don't need them on the final weekend. We just need to know who the final 4 are, or the final 8, or in this case now we're at 12, the final 12 are.
Would that not be a fascinating experiment to eliminate all rankings? No one is allowed to rank any teams. Just play the games and have standings. Just we know who everybody's record is and who they played. And then at the end of the season, say, rank them.
Well, isn't that sort of what every other league does? I mean, we're running so much like a professional league now anyways. Last I checked, the NHL doesn't rank their teams. The NFL doesn't rank their teams. The NBA doesn't rank their teams. But what do those there's a reason why the rankings work for college. Take a look at these people that power rank. They give their power rankings because people like that. And that's fine. People can, but why release it under an official coaches poll or the Associated Press poll? Why do we need to display it on the television next to the program, the institution name on the scoreboard? Like little things like that. I mean, yeah, but whatever. I don't know that Iowa's one of the 25 best teams. I do think what you said at the outset is fair, but okay, I'm comparing what Iowa's recent teams have done with no quarterback. Like they had a guy in Cade McNamara who was coming off a serious injury, twice coming off serious injuries and coming into Iowa. And he wasn't regarded like Mark Gronowski was, even though he played for a better program. And Deacon Hill and Spencer Petras and those guys, and they were still regarded most of those years as fringe top 25. But again, 33, that's probably pretty typical. So I think they're better at quarter. I just don't know how you don't look at this scenario and say, yeah, they're as stable at quarterback as they have been since 2019. I mean, we're projecting to some extent, I guess, but yeah, Iowa is as stable at quarterback right now since 2019, Nate Stanley's senior year. And I don't know that the numbers will reflect that. I tend to think they will. But we're comparing what Iowa's about to go out in the field with August 30th to seasons led by Spencer Petras, and then a combination of Deacon Hill, Cade McNamara, Brendan Sullivan, Jackson Stratton. I mean, it's apples to oranges. So I would give Iowa a bump there. I would give Iowa, you got to take them down a level at running back. Although I saw Kamari Moulton was named to the Doak Walker Award watch list, which surprised me to some extent because I don't even know that he's the undisputed starter right now. But so anyways, I came in a little feisty this afternoon, Mark.
I see that.
You got me a little riled. You got me a little riled up there
with some rankings.
Well, you couldn't get your audio to work. Full disclosure, before we hopped on here, you couldn't get your audio to work. So maybe that's the trick. You just come up with some technical difficulties beforehand, and that'll get me going, I guess.
I love it. I'll take it. I cannot disagree with any of that. That's one of the reasons why I like to sabotage and tear down the rankings, and why I developed my own. They were a direct response to exactly what you're talking about. Absolutely. So we also have, I'll turn to my buddy Phil Steele, and I'll let everyone know that we've got a record with Phil Steele from last week, and Phil said that he would come back this week, or it's actually going to be next week. So next Wednesday, we'll go live with Phil Steele on the main channel. That's Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern time to discuss some more teams, and maybe I'll throw the Hawkeyes at him. Corey and I would like to break down the offensive line and the tight end situation. So Phil Steele, and I mentioned this when we did the Iowa State breakdown, believes that this is the 8th best offensive line in the country. Now, let me read to you his rundown, because what he likes to do, and I very much appreciate this, is he goes every position group and he takes it back a few years to kind of bring you to how it's arrived at this place. So he says, first of all, Kirk Ferentz, NFL offensive line coach, has had 20 offensive linemen drafted and 4 multi-year left tackle starters end up as first-round draft choices. Okay, in 2022, the career starts climbed to 44, meaning coming back in 2022, they had 44 career starts, and that was a junior, 3 sophomores, and a freshman. Defensive lineman Logan Jones moved to center, same thing that Tyler Linderbaum had made, that move to center from defensive line. The numbers were woeful: 95 yards rushing per game, 2.9 yards per carry, 38 sacks. Then the next year, 2023, the career starts climbed to 114, but they had to deal with injuries. They improved to 116 yards rushing per game, 3.3 per rush, 32 sacks given up. Then last year, with 5 starters back, 4 seniors, we predicted that they would have their best offensive line in 4 years with 154 starts coming back. They rushed for 197 yards per game, 5.1 per carry, only gave up 17 sacks. Now this year, they lose left tackle Mason Richmond, who goes to the Seahawks in the 7th round, right guard Connor Colby, 7th round pick to the 49ers, and Nick DeJong. They drop to 3 starters returning, but 1 is Logan Jones, 3rd-team All-American center. Kirk Ferentz feels that they are back to being close to the standard that they had set on the offensive line a few years back, and they've got 85 career starts coming back.
Good breakdown. Nick DeJong didn't play hardly at all last year. He came back for an extra year and was just buried. I don't know if he just came back because he got another year of college football. But he struggled. He was not always a guy that fans loved, unfortunately. Feel bad for him, Pella kid. But I talked about one of the reasons I thought we could talk about offensive line, because you asked me about positions today, is yesterday I did something I haven't really done formally on the show. I published a video basically where I summarized what we've seen so far in social media posts. And I know some people think it's the stupidest thing that you could ever do, but I literally went through every social post from Hawkeye football thus far during fall camp and checked off guys on a master roster list, guys who I'm actually seeing. Because I'm not seeing them in pads/uniform, then I still wonder, are they there? Because you never know what injuries could have happened on day one, or even last week of summer conditioning. We got a bit of an update from Kirk Ferentz at Big Ten Media Days, but a few of the guys that I did not see were offensive linemen that I think will be really important to the performance of that unit. One being Bryce George, the transfer from Ferris State. I just think he is my one guy to watch this camp. KJ Parker is probably a close second. But Bryce George would be my guy to watch, because I just think that left tackle position is such a need. And Mason Richmond anchored it for a long time, but they were never great in pass protection even during the Mason Richmond era. I think he was probably one of their better pass protectors. You ought to be if you're playing the blind side. But they need to do better protecting the quarterback. And Mark Gronowski is mobile, but as you alluded to earlier, he is coming off an injury. So I just will be really intrigued to see if the speed of the game doesn't pass Bryce George by. If it doesn't, he's got all the tools to be a starting level left tackle and potentially be a star. He transferred to Iowa this summer with an eye to Iowa getting him into the league next draft class, because this is his last year, barring some change with eligibility since he transferred up from D2. This is his last year. That's why he came to Iowa. He had chances to visit Cal and I think USC, turned it down. He had those visits scheduled, wanted to come to Iowa. He trusts the Iowa process with the offensive line. So I would expect him to be the starter at left tackle. And then who's the other guard alongside Bo Stevens? Could be Cade Piper. Could be Cade Pieper, I guess is technically the way you pronounce his last name. Trevor Lauk is another guy I've not yet seen. Doesn't mean he's not at camp, but I've not yet seen in photos. I've not heard anything about him from any of my sources. And then Bo Stevens is a guy. I've not heard anything about him, and I've not seen him in practice photos. They need him. He is the one guy returning. And they lost, they lost Richmond, and they lost, who's the other guy they lost? Starter. Colby. Man, I'm drawing a blank. They lost Connor Colby, Mason Richmond. Those were the two big ones. But we also have to remember they lost Nick DeJong, as you said, They lost Tyler Ellsbury last year. So they lost rotational guys that played snaps, that had starts. So that's significant. They need Bo Stevens, one of the few guys returning. They need him to be an anchor on the interior of that offensive line alongside Logan Jones. And then they can just focus there, and they need Bryce to do the same at left tackle. And then I think you can focus your position on that last guard spot. I tell you, it's really encouraging to see Michael Myslinski healthy at spring. I've seen him in Iowa fall camp. Maybe this is the year. Boy, wouldn't that be a great story? A kid who's been riddled with injuries since he got to Iowa, is highly regarded as a center coming out of college, turned down Michigan State and some other really good offers to come to Iowa, is finally healthy. Would be great to see him get some guard play as a senior. But offensive line is going to be fascinating to me for those reasons.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a staple of this program, and it was much improved last year. But obviously, Caleb Johnson, when he's ripping off 50 and 60-yard runs, which the offensive line usually is responsible for the first, 5 to 7 yards possibly of that, then maybe those numbers get skewed a bit, but obviously they were effective on the ground.
And by the way, they have several guys who I would, I'm not there every day in practice. I'll be really intrigued to see who's running where at Kids Day on Saturday during the open practice, because you like that. You just love when I say Kids Day, don't you?
I was holding back my smirk.
Yeah, I know. Not good enough. But because they have several guys who are buried that I think are just natural tackles physically. They just look like natural tackles. Cannon Leonard is one. He's 6'9". I mean, I can't imagine him playing anywhere other than tackle, but he's 6. Now he got to Iowa, he was 6'8", 6'9" now. He's a third-year guy, I believe. He's a redshirt sophomore. Cale Crow Jr., maybe they could move him inside. He's a Huxley, Iowa kid. He's, again, going into his last 2 seasons, has not sniffed the depth chart. Jack Dotzler has sniffed the depth chart, but I think he's a left tackle naturally at 6'6", 312. So I just named you 3 guys who I have a hard time imagining them playing any position other than one of the 2 tackle spots. Right tackle is anchored down by Jennings Dunker. So, and then Bryce George comes in. I don't think Bryce George is coming in to play guard. I would be really surprised and a little disappointed if that happens, although Kirk knows better than I do. Maybe Cannon Leonard proves to be just the next Brandon Sheriff, and they can move a guy like Bryce George inside. I think Bryce George's best trait as a player, based on what I saw at Ferris, is his pass blocking. So I just think that's at least 4 guys that are clear tackles. And then who figures into the other, who's competing for the other guard spots? Probably, alongside Bo Stevens, it'd be Cade Pieper. It would be 5th-year vet Michael Myslinski, who I alluded to earlier. I would say those 2 guys and Trevor Lauk. Those would probably be my top 3 right now. But again, we'll learn a lot more after this week. Those would be my top 3 for the final guard spot. Then you have a lot of other young guys like Leighton Jones, Josh Janowski, Bodie McCaslin's a 2nd-year guy. Lucas Allgaier is a legacy kid. He's a true freshman, but boy, he comes in looking the part at 6'5", 300. You got the Iowa State transfer, George Nahas, who came in, and Iowa's not afraid to play walk-ons. If they're good enough to play, they'll play him. Will Nolan, another young 2nd-year player that could compete. Cale Winter, there's a guy that I've seen in photos so far. So they've got people, but I just do think they've recruited, and I can't speak for other programs, but they've just seemed to really recruit guys that maybe are not as flexible, as versatile as maybe some of their past players, like a DeYoung, even though I know fans got annoyed with him, or even the Paulson twins. We saw Iowa kind of move those guys all over the place. I have a hard time seeing some of those guys I just named, Dotzler, Crow, maybe Bryce George, just because I think he's really, really talented. Cannon Leonard, I have a hard time seeing them play any other position other than tackle.
So one of the things that separates the Phil Steele, I got it right in my hands, not to promote him too much today, but separates it is he has a conversation with each head coach in college football. So then he comes away with that. Not that they're giving him a starting lineup, but tends to think that he's got a good feel for the way it stacks up. So this is the start. Then he's going like 3 or 4 deep at each position. So this is his starting lineup with backups included along the offensive line. So let's see how this compares to the way you just ran it down. He's got Logan Jones at center, of course. Backup is Josh Janowski.
Okay.
He's got Cade Pieper at right guard, backed up by Michael Mislinski.
Okay.
Left guard, Bo Stevens, backed up by Leighton Jones.
Okay.
His right tackle is Jennings Dunker, backed up by Trevor Lauk. And then he's got Jack Doetzler at left tackle, backed up by Bryce George.
Yeah, that's the one that we differ on. All the other ones I'm fine with. I'm surprised that he would. I don't know what Phil. Does Phil? Maybe you can ask him. Does he consult with? Does he have just sources within all these programs, or is he just kind of projecting based on?
We use a conversation with the head coach of every program in the country. Now that doesn't mean that they say, "Here's the."
He goes, yeah, he
has to be worked out.
Kirk doesn't release the depth chart to anybody else, but he releases it to Phil.
Well, and I'll also say this: for as much as he is exhaustive with all these teams, there's no doubt that he is the guy to go to if you want to know everything about everyone as much as possible. That you know somebody like me who wants to have a good, fairly in-depth knowledge of every team. But to compare, I would not compare his knowledge and information on the Iowa football team to yours.
Well, I don't think he's the first person that has thrown that name of Jack Doetzler out there. And Doetzler, in his defense, he has been on 2 deeps at times. I don't know that we've ever seen him in live game action on offense, but we have seen him on 2 deeps. And so I don't know how versatile Trevor Lauk is. I guess I mean, the way that the 2 deeps often, if there is some versatility with a guy like Lauk, my guess is you might list the starter and then a backup, and then Dunker and Lauk is the backup at right tackle, but then Lauk in reality is the backup for both left and right. You know, he's just the next best lineman. I could see that being the case, but yeah, I mean, yeah, we'll see. Bryce George, if he's healthy, because I haven't seen him. I haven't seen him in photos yet. Although I haven't watched the social media post from today. Should I put it up on the screen, Mark?
Sure.
Should we put it up on the screen?
Yeah. Give it a look.
Let's put it up on the screen, shall we?
I actually think it's a good idea what you did with that video.
Oh, well, I haven't checked it to see. What type of traffic it's gotten. Let's see. Okay, yeah, this was a 50-second video. We get to watch a 50-second video here, Mark. Can you believe this? Isn't this huge? All right, let's. How do I do this? Isn't this amazing? I've been working with StreamYard all this time, and yet I don't always know exactly what I'm doing. Let's make sure I'm sharing my my audio. Okay, ready for this, Mark?
Here we go.
This was just released by Iowa earlier today. Oh, can you hear it? Why am I not hearing anything?
I can.
Oh, you can hear it?
Yes.
Oh, okay, whatever. Well, let's play it again.
There you go. I love that sound. It's all right. You want this thing all right? Right.
So let me get this straight, Corey, because basically somebody like me is not going to get any information from that. This is produced to get people fired up for Iowa football. Of course, that's the reason. But you're telling me you're taking even videos like this and slowing them down and saying, okay, who was in that set on the offensive line? Like, who's there?
Yes.
And where are they playing?
100%. Well, no. Hold on. I'm not looking at like, oh, this guy's running with the ones here and he's at the left. No, what I did is it took we're going to get to see these guys in live action on Saturday. So all I did was I went through at Kids Day. Yeah, that's right. You got it down. But I just went through and looked to see who has actually showed up in these videos. See, in the past, Iowa Athletics posted more photos on their website on HawkeyeSports.com, and you could actually comb through like a camera reel of photos from day 5 of camp or whatever. And I don't know why they stopped doing that. That's a question I guess I could ask this weekend. But and maybe there's some role somewhere, and I don't know where it's at. But I know even media people in the past, they'd love to tweet out about that kind of thing. So should I check to see how many views that video got, Mark?
Sure.
Let's see how many views that video from yesterday got. I figured some people would poke fun at it. It's got. You always tell me I need to do stuff like that. So 1.8 thousand so far.
Nice.
So yeah.
In the meantime, everyone, we'll let you know that the Big Ten Live show is back, and it's directly after our show here with Corey. So Corey and I just move on over to the main channel to talk Big Ten football. And so that's directly following 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central Time. And I guess we'll dive into these preseason coaches poll rankings even more and take your calls for however long. How do you like our new logo right above you?
I like it. It reminds me of those little candies that you get. I'm trying to think what they're called. The little red football there reminds me of a piece of candy. I can't think of what candy I'm thinking of, but
I can't either.
Yeah.
Because as soon as I saw it, I loved it. And so we took it on for all the various channels. But my heart's a little bit torn because, number one, the logo was the first.
Yeah, I know.
That was the original. And also, my son created that logo. So,
okay,
slightly torn there.
Okay. Yeah, I've there have been lots of suggestions made to me, and I'm totally up to rebranding our logo at some point. I think all the best brands do that at some point, right?
Give it a fresh look.
So no, I like it, and I need to get a copy of it so we can start posting that, because we post this show on the podcast platform from the Hawkeye of the Storm on Spotify, Apple, all those. I need to make sure I have the right square image so that we can be up to speed. Don't laugh. Don't laugh.
I'm not laughing. It's reminding me that you will get a big surprise. Well, now you won't, because I'm telling you, once we transition over to the Big Ten show, that we've got a new background.
Oh,
it's just I haven't even seen it, so we'll see what it looks like.
Okay, I thought you meant a new backdrop behind you.
No,
I'm still waiting. Will you ever pull the old backdrop out?
No, it's been thrown in the trash. It's long gone.
Why?
I threw it away.
Why?
I just threw it in the trash. I got sick of it one day and just said, taking it to the trash dumpster.
So I loved it. Wasn't it nice?
I kind of liked it too.
Why'd you do that?
And it cost me like $300, something like that.
Are you a very spur of the moment?
No, I'm not an irrational sort, but I was moving as well, and I was trying to lighten the load, so that was part of it as well. And I thought, you know what? Let's start fresh.
I guarantee you, somebody's got that in their garage right now.
Oh yes, I'm sure there was a fight over it in the neighborhood. Sure. We did want to look at the tight end position as well.
Yeah, that tight end. Well, man, they're going to be so experienced there at the front too. Of String as a senior, Ortworth played as a young kid, and now he's moving into more of a veteran role. So this is year 3 for him. And then, I think there's question marks after those guys. You have Thomas Meyer, the kid from Mason City, who's a 4-star, highly regarded. They lost Gavin Hoffman during the offseason, who was a former 4-star. I really like Michael Bird out of Omaha. And I don't know that there was anybody on my list that has not shown up yet, notable from the tight end room. One guy that I don't know that we've talked about on this channel, but he's gotten brought up kind of in a side chatter, is DJ Voname, redshirt freshman tight end from Breda, Iowa. And he is a walk-on, but it sounds like he's really impressed coaches with his hands. So don't be shocked if the third tight end this year might end up being a guy like DJ Voname. Now, maybe Hayden Large, who's played quite a bit, especially at fullback. It could end up being Thomas Meyer, freshman. It could end up being Michael Byrd. But it sounds like DJ has showcased his hands, and he's a name that people may get used to seeing, at least when Iowa goes in heavy tight end packages around the goal line primarily. So, yeah, I'm just going to be curious to see what type of involvement in the passing game, Tim Lester's system includes in year two. It was interesting because I had a conversation with Don about this last week, Coach Patterson, and he says he doesn't think we're going to see some massive change in. Iowa's still going to really utilize the tight end in the passing game. Whereas when I talked with Tyler Kluver, former Iowa long snapper, he kind of acted like he thinks we've seen the end of Iowa being tight end U just because of the new system. We'll just have to wait and see. I still think a lot of the pieces that were responsible for the great tight end development are still there. I think you got to give LeVar Woods credit because he worked with that group. Now, Brian Ferentz isn't there. I think you got to give the guy some credit because he worked with the Patriots tight ends. He worked with Iowa's tight ends. He was the OC there, so give him credit where credit is due. And then I don't know after that, like, is Kirk somehow responsible for some of the positive development at tight end? Is it just the evaluation process that they've undergone? Was Ken O'Keefe involved with some of that? He's no longer with the program, so we'll just have to wait and see. But I do think that group will be strong at the top. Yeah, it's an example of a group that needs to stay healthy, though, because there is uncertainty after number 2.
I don't necessarily know if this question applies to this situation as opposed to other position units from other programs that are elite, supposed to be the best at their position. Let's say an Ohio State wide receiver group. I don't know that it applies to the tight end legacy at Iowa, because my question was about to be Zach Ortworth, Addison Estrenga seem to be 1A and 1B. Basically, there's going to be a lot of 2 tight end sets, as you just mentioned. Do those guys, in assessing how much they should go to the tight ends, it's about the scheme, but it's also about, what players do we need to get the football to? Do those guys match up physically as potential NFL players to the degree that a Luke Lachey and all these other guys on down the line that have been Sam Laporta, George Kittle, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, I mean, I think the 4 guys that come to mind that just you had to get him the ball were George Kittle, Noah Fant, TJ Hawkinson, Sam Laporta. I don't even think Luke Lachey fits that. I thought Luke was really productive before he got hurt and before Cade McNamara got hurt. But last year, first year in the new system, maybe it was partly because he was coming off the injury, was not nearly as productive as I expected him to be. Addison Estrenga, we've talked about his yards per catch is not a real high average compared to some other Iowa tight ends of late. But Zach Ortworth is, I think, more of an athletic deep ball threat. So maybe he's going to be your Jake Doozy of sorts. Does that name sound familiar to you, Mark?
Jake Doozy.
No. You don't remember the big wheel route against your Buckeyes, 2014?
Oh,
13.
That game, 2013. I remember the final score, and it was a fairly close game.
Yeah. Ohio State just kept, Iowa just couldn't keep up. But yeah, they had a big wheel route pass to Jake Doozy, and he went for like 80 yards. So it's pretty rare when you see a tight end do that. He had some speed, and if it wasn't for injuries, he may have had a nice NFL career as well. But Sean Byer is another example of a guy that I think was maybe more of a natural runner. So I don't think Addison Estrenga is that, although I do think he's got really solid receiver skills. I don't think he's got the speed that a Sam Laporta or a Noah Fant had. But I think Ortworth may have the best opportunity. Now, who's an intriguing guy, and I don't know if he's ready to play in year 1. Tight end's not normally a real easy position to play early, but we've seen some Iowa tight ends play as true freshmen, certainly redshirt freshmen. But that's Mason Woods, because I don't know that Mason Woods' future is at tight end necessarily. It may be, but really good athlete who could probably play several different positions. And he'd probably be the one dark horse guy if I just was going to throw a name out that it will be intriguing to see if Iowa can utilize his skill set early in his career. And yeah, I mean, other than him, I mentioned DJ. I will be anxious to see how much he's working with the ones, if at all, on Saturday, because again, I based on the scuttlebutt that I've heard, he's the only. I mean, he and Hayden Large. I've not heard any other names of guys who have like clearly emerged as the next guys. I mean, I just haven't, and we'll get a chance to talk with tight ends coach. Why am I drawing a blank? Man, this is. Did I used to have these blonde moments before?
No.
What are you trying to imply, Mark?
I don't know. You asked a question and I replied.
Who's the tight ends coach?
This is twice in a show. I don't know who the tight ends. As soon as you name him, I'm going to be like, oh yeah, I know that name. But I don't.
Obviously. Why am I just?
Well, I mean, I'm going to recognize the name.
Abdul Hodge. Duh. What am I, man?
Yes, the great linebacker. Thor. Sure.
It's been a long week already. It's Tuesday, so I still got a long one in front of me. But yeah, I mean, we'll get a chance to talk with Abdul on Saturday and see. He's not normally a guy who tips his cap to the young guys. You ask him about, oh yeah, he's doing good.
Tips his hand. You're mixing metaphors. Tipping his cap would be like if he lost a matchup and he was saying.
Well, he doesn't do that. He doesn't do that either. But
he doesn't tip his hand.
He doesn't tip his hand. Thank you for that. Just a little salt on the wound. But yeah, he doesn't normally tip his hand to battles or at least young guys emerging. You tend to ask about young players. He's pretty generic about them, and that's not a surprise. He's still a pretty young coach. So yeah, we'll see. But Gavin Hoffman leaving shook up that room a bit because I think people thought he was the heir apparent. He was the big recruit, the 4-star and yada, yada, yada. Now that might be Thomas Meyer, I guess, maybe. Might be Mason Woods if he stays at tight end. I still think they have guys that will get their turn first if they stay put, and like Michael Burt. I don't know what Hayden Large, like how does he factor into this new look offense? We saw less involvement with Hayden last year. Doesn't mean he won't play. I think he's going to play, but Eli Johnson's another guy. Didn't mean to forget him. He was a solid get out of Wisconsin. So, and Hayden Large, this is his last year as well. So they're losing after this season. They'll be down Hayden Large, Addison Estringa, and I think that's it. Those two guys. And then Ortworth will be number one. And then you'll have to figure out where you go after that.
We actually have a comment coming in the chat from Kent Jacobson, who's watching us on Facebook. We don't see that very often. But I do check the Facebook views from time to time. We usually get, 70 to 100 views on Facebook.
Okay.
Something like that. But I thought that you might find this to be amusing. Our buddy Christopher Foote. So what this deal is here,
oh my goodness,
Corey, is that I will do a feeble job at trying to explain this, and it's not going to work. But he actually has come up with some kind of crazy scenario in 1984 that Iowa, despite going 8-4 that year, has a claim for the national championship. So he considers Iowa to share a national championship in 1984 with an 8-4 record.
What was BYU's record?
13-0. And Ohio State won the Big Ten that year, and they beat Iowa by 3 touchdowns. But no, they don't have a claim, and they don't have a claim. They got 3 losses.
So what is his?
It's some kind of crazy belt championship. Do you know what the belt championship is?
No.
It's basically a boxing term.
Yeah, I know that.
But yeah, and so that's where he's taking it from. So let's say right now, if who's the national champion? Ohio State. If they lose to Texas, then Texas is the belt. If Ohio State does have the belt right now, they may not. Who's got the belt right now, Chris? You can put it in the chat. So anyway, whoever's got the belt right now, soon as somebody beats them, they own the belt, and then it's passed along. As long as you win, you don't lose the belt. So Iowa ended the season with the belt based on whoever they beat.
So we don't know who had the belt the previous year because you have to start back in the 20s or something.
You'd have to start from the beginning of. I don't know when he starts this. Yeah, you'd have to start.
So it's the first team to beat the previous champion.
No, not necessarily, because you could.
No, I'm sorry. First team to beat the previous belt holder.
Yeah.
The first team to beat the previous belt holder.
Yeah. So I don't know who has the belt right now. Chris, who has the belt? Let us know.
Is this a real thing, or is this just him coming up with
it's stupid.
It's
moronic. I've told him face to face, I've said, Chris, this is something that's fun. It can be fun. Not that somebody can't keep track of it, but it doesn't mean anything.
Well, why doesn't he call you sometime and explain it on your show?
Oh, he's explained it. I know what it is. I just explained it to you. It's a belt championship. But you could be 1-11 and be the belt champion.
Because your one win was against the previous belt champion.
Yeah. And that could be your last win of the season. And
what I don't understand is why. So I'm fine with like these little things that you can do but like, what is the point of getting so passionate and trying to act like Iowa has, just because you're okay, even if there was something that existed that was considered a belt championship, why would you assume that automatically puts them on the same level as national champion? Like, okay, you won a belt. That's not a national championship. You see what I'm saying?
Florida right now, they went 8-5 last year, but they are the belt champion.
Okay, they're the belt champion. Great. I'm glad he came up with that. But what I'm saying is, how does that mean you share a national title? That's not a national title is a national title. Your belt championship is your belt championship. It's what you've determined. It's like saying, I think the Heisman winner every year is, voted the Heisman winner because they're the best, they're voted by voters. But then I'm going to say the first player to run out of the tunnel in 10 different games and then, eliminate 2 by, it's just like, are we just doing some random formula to try to come up with controversy? I don't know. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Belt champion finished 1-10. What year was that? I wonder.
UTEP, 1985.
They eliminated the previous belt champion. Interesting. Do all your viewers know about this theory? Because this is the first time I've ever actually heard this.
Some of them love to follow Chris's comments. Sure.
So, Chris, I got to tell you in the chat real quick. He says BYU shares a title with Iowa. Let me just say real quick. I'm going to say it on my own volition as an Iowa guy. No, they do not. No, they do not.
You should have
bottom line
on before the season starts. Get it in now while there's not a whole lot of news, and explain this belt championship and how Iowa has a share of the 1984 national championship.
I'm not getting involved in that. If Christopher, has he read your 1990s disputed national championship?
I don't believe he gives it much credence, but folks, there it is. Disputed national champions. Pick it up.
Mine's over on display for all the people that come in to tour my studio. They see it. All the people that come in here to just tour it, and
I do appreciate it. Did you take a few minutes? And
I haven't read the whole thing. I've combed through it, and I've read a few different pages, but I haven't read the whole thing. I need to do that this summer or this fall now, I guess.
It's a pretty quick deal.
Now you're going to come up with an 80s version? That's what I was going to ask.
I got to pay for this one. Let's sell enough copies to pay for this one first. And we're a ways away from
How are you doing? Maybe I don't want to ask you this on the air, but how are you doing on sales?
I've sold like 180.
Oh, okay. Is that good, bad? I don't know.
It's not good enough.
It's not good enough. Okay. How many would you
ways away from paying the cost for me to buy to do another one?
How many do you need to sell to get to that point?
About 4,000.
Oh, wow. Well, I'll tell you what you need. You need like Dace to promote it. You need Phil Steele to promote it.
I have. Well, Phil Steele needs to promote. That would be great. He said that he would, but he hasn't, I don't believe, but he has said that he would.
Okay. Well, remind him of it tomorrow or next week.
Yeah. Because I would love to. And what I did, and nobody's going to care about this, but anyway, I'm going to explain it anyway, is what I did was the next book and further books after this will not cost anything. They will cost a tiny fraction of what this cost me to write, because I set it up in such a way that I can write additional books for a very minimal cost.
How can people get a signed copy of that book?
They can hit me up at MarkRogersTV at Gmail.
So why did I get a book that wasn't signed?
Well, I can send you a signed one. I've sent out about 25 signed copies.
Yeah, but I already have a copy.
Well, that was your choice to get a copy, which I appreciate, but I could have sent you a copy.
Okay.
It was signed.
Did you know that so we've been advertising this really, I'll give Jeff Knight a free plug real quick. This book, children's book that is all about a dog who visits the children's hospital regularly outside Kinnick Stadium. It's a really cool story. And it's the only dog that regularly visits those children up there. And Jeff signed this book and the dog signed the book.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I haven't been promoting that aspect of it because I don't know how routine that is for if you buy a book, if it's always signed. I don't know that. Maybe that's a question I need to ask Jeff. But
all right, folks, that's it for Hawkeyes Live. We'll be back next Tuesday at 4 Central, and follow us over to the main channel. We're talking Big Ten football with Corey here in just about 2 minutes.